Welcome and thank you for coming all the way up here. This is a very historic place and we appreciate your coming and joining us tonight, today. We're going to, let's see. This is the meeting that we normally have, the election for the board, for the association. We don't have anyone, just so everyone knows, in case, I don't know why you'd be waiting for that election, but in case. None of our board members are up for re-election this year, so there won't be any ballot. So we get to just skip over on that part. And I'll introduce you to the board. I think that would be appropriate. So my name is Paul Getzelman. I'm the president. Miss Carol Kenyon, if you raise your hand, is our vice president. Mr. John Jernigan in the back of the room is our treasurer. His lovely wife Karen is our membership chairman. Miss Maria Werner is our secretary. And Patricia, there. She's the editor of the newsletter. So I think everyone here deserves a round of applause. They do yeoman's work, believe me.
I'm chopped liver.
Oh yeah, and then chopped liver back there. No, that's Sherry.
And Donna. Donna's in the kitchen.
And Donna. Oh, Donna. Donna. There we go. I'm sorry, I didn't see Donna. And Donna Lewis and Sherry Schmidt are on the board, and we still have an opening. So if anyone feels the need to volunteer, please see me before you leave. So that being said, then I'd like to thank you for the last time for coming, and we'll introduce the presentation basically by beginning with a video. And John's going to be he's our main guy in audio visual.
We'll see you. Oh, I have to go up there. All right, so we're going to watch a few videos.
So as Paul says, we're going to watch two videos. The first one's going to be Janice Smith, and then there will be the group from the hall also do a promo. So done very well, but so let's watch those. Let's see. My little clicker isn't working. There we go. Okay. Let's see what I'm going to have to do it this way.
Good morning, I'm Janice Smith, Ramsier, and I've been in this area since 1950 when my folks bought a ranch just down the canyon from here. The Hesperia Hall was a gathering point for the community. I had my first dance at Hesperia Hall in about 1952, my bridal shower in 1957, and my baby shower in 1959. My son's wedding reception. I was very involved with the hall in many capacities, but as president for several years off and on, it was something that was a passion of mine to help out in any way that I could. Many people may not know, but across the road from the existing hall was a Hesperia school. And that's actually where the Shiloh Baptist Church group began in the Hesperia school. So as their group grew, they had the privilege of an acre plus donated to the church from the John Hartman family. And they decided it was time to build a church of their own. So the church members actually in 1897 began building the Hesperia Hall, which was Shiloh Baptist Church. The very first meeting of the congregation was in 1898. The attendance gradually diminished until the church decided to disband in 1918. Follows a very colorful history of the hall. The hall was used by various community groups. The Hesperia Farm Bureau proposed to purchase it. The selling price from the Baptist Church was $300, but they did talk them down to $150. There was a lot of community support for purchasing the hall. So various fundraisers were held, dances, local musicians, Elma Dayton, her dad, Buckskin Bill Adam, and Corn-Fed Boys, they all put on these dances, and that was the main source of revenue. And finally, they were able to provide the purchase price. The church deeded the property over to the Hesperia Farm Center. Everything was functioning and the building was being used. Then, one gathering of the home department in 1933, the ladies were around talking about whatever project they had as homemakers. All of a sudden, they were invaded by 4 different people, descendants of the Hartman family, who claimed once the church no longer used the property, it went back to them. The ladies of the home department were dumbfounded and they didn't know what to do. The papers looked legal, so they vacated the building. And the hall was left in control of these Hartman heirs, who actually set up housekeeping, were cooking and living at the Hesperia Hall at that time. So there was legal action taken. John Elton Walker of Salinas was the defender of the Hesperia Farm Center. It took several years, and eventually, through much litigation, it was awarded back to the Hesperia Farm Center. Then it was taken over by the Monterey County Farm Bureau Federation and served as a center for this group, meeting until the 1980s as the Monterey County Farm Bureau, Hesperia Farm Bureau. The Hesperia Hall has been instrumental in many gatherings of community interest. For instance, the phone service for the area, and also rural electrification when that became a thing of real interest in the 1950s, and actually gathered the groups together to proceed with getting the lines, which resulted in most everybody having electricity in this area. As our organization grew, there became more people became interested in supporting the hall. And it was an issue to have the hall be a nonprofit, to where people could claim a tax deduction for money that they wanted to help. Hesperia Farm Center was one of several farm centers under the auspices of Monterey County Farm Bureau. Probably beginning in the early 80s, the Monterey County Farm Bureau, because of liability, wanted to divest itself of the local farm centers. So their proposal was, if you could form a nonprofit in your little community, we could transfer title from the Monterey County Farm Bureau to your group. And that actually happened in the late 1980s. Thanks to the kindness of Jay and Ann Brown, they funded a lot of the attorney fees and paperwork process, which was locally carried on by Bill and Becky Dayton, who were president and vice president at that time. And they all worked together very hard to get this to happen, which is how we got the nonprofit status of 501c3 in California. So it served us well with our scholarship programs and those things that result from donations that are tax deductible. We had an annual fundraising dinner. Everybody participated and it was a big deal. We always had an auction, and I can remember Joe Rocha pulling a rooster out of the cage at the auction, up on the stage, holding that rooster up and auctioning it off. But we went from the ham dinners, then gradually went to spaghetti dinners. Sit down, very formal spaghetti dinner. And that's transitioned into the chicken barbecues. The first few chicken barbecues were held by using portable pits. That didn't turn out too well, so the farm center decided to build a big barbecue pit in the back. Many of our neighbors worked on it. The Daytons, the Morans, Kinsellas, many people lent their hand. Actually, Bill Dayton was the designer, assisted by several other men, my husband Jack Smith too. We worked by floodlight, trying to get the bricks in place and everything built so that it could be used for the chicken barbecue that very first year. There's pictures of the spotlight over top of our construction. As a result, some of the cracks that you see today might have been because it wasn't cured quite long enough, but in the anxiousness to use it, we fired it up. As soon as it was done, we had a beautiful iron plate on there, and I thought, that is perfect for a pancake breakfast. So that's what we did to initiate it. We had a pancake breakfast. The cover was added later because it was very, very hot out there without the shade, so that came a couple of years later. The hall continues to be a very active place today thanks to the dedication of some people like Ed Bunce, for example, and Joe Gary was very instrumental in keeping the hall alive. Ernest and Edna Wefferling, of course Bill and Becky Dayton, even the Pattersons would help with our early chicken barbecues. To summarize the events and the people, since the Richardsons came, there have been the Oktoberfest, there have been Christmas parties, New Year's Eve dances, Thanksgiving potlucks. We award scholarships too, and that's a very big source of pride for our community. And we're just thankful for all the people that have donated through the years. It's just a wonderful organization. You know, we thank all of those who have helped preserve the hall, and we hope it continues for another 100 years.
So the next, what did you call the next, was it just a promo video, the next one coming up?
So Bethany Reinstead, you might know her, Eric does a church in Lockwood. She's the videographer, and so we hired her to do a historical, educational one that you just saw, and promotional video. So she took photos and videos for a year and edited it together, and so that's the source. We also, if you're familiar with South Monterey County Foundation, we got a $2,000 grant from them to make the promotional video. So,
Okay, was that audio loud enough?
yeah.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's see if my clicker's not gonna work this. There we go. Right.
I had no idea when we first bought our property that there was a community center like the Hesperia Hall, which has been a really, really tremendous resource for us.
One of the aspects of the hall that I'm really attracted to is the diversity of the members, their backgrounds, and a combination of young and old people here.
I have had the opportunity to be here as a young girl, and then now I have 4 children of my own, so that's been so nice to see them kind of run around the hall and all the places that I used to run around as a little girl.
Within just a couple days of having moved in, my neighbor came over and introduced herself and invited me to go to the hall's potluck.
We first learned of the hall through a neighbor who had an active produce stand here.
When I first started coming up to the produce exchange, I met so many wonderful people, and they were all so welcoming, and I just thought that it was something I wanted to give back to and join and become a part of this community.
We have a 130-year-old historically significant building that is so beautiful, and it is such an attraction and is appreciated by so many people. And it's amazing that it's still standing and that we continue to have it as the centerpiece of our community. So annually we do about 6 potlucks on a Friday night, and we do about 6 on a Sunday. A couple of our big things are scholarship night. We have officials night where supervisor, congresspeople, sheriff, Monterey County, other officials all come out here. And we have a quilt show every year.
the big chicken barbecue and the country fairs and the New Year's Eve parties were amazing.
We have a hall Sunday produce exchange every week.
We have people selling live chickens, we have people selling rabbits, we have kombucha, we have yogurt, we have eggs, plants.
My favorite memories of the hall have always been the Oktoberfest, and I always remember that as a little girl being so excited to be in the parade and get the little lollipop bouquet.
October has the country fair and Oktoberfest, which is a big event, and that's where we draw the winning ticket for the annual quilt.
The ladies in the Home Bureau made the decision to donate all the raffle proceeds from the hand-quilted raffle quilt that they do every year to the Hesperia Hall Scholarship Fund. Over $84,000 have been donated via the raffle tickets, and then another $153,000 have been donated by individual people in the community.
With the scholarship program under a 501c3, it just touches a chord with local people. They just love helping the youngsters get an education and to support the hall.
To date, 254 young people from Lockwood and Bryson Hesperia have either received a first-time or a renewal scholarship from the proceeds of the Hesperia Hall Scholarship Fund.
We've watched the youngsters grow up and go to college, get education, go to technical schools, and they give back.
When I graduated high school, I received a scholarship from the hall that helped me to complete my degree in early childhood education without any debt, and I am very grateful.
One of the other things we do is the kids' summer sewing. So we have kids from Lockwood and Bryson Hesperia come in during the summer for 4 or 5 sessions, and we help them learn how to quilt. And we make donation quilts that go either for kids that are in a cancer camp or kids that are in foster care. We also do donation quilts for our local community.
We have to stand together and help each other and be aware of each other's problems and jump right in, and the community does that.
What the hall means to me is community. And I just feel very, very appreciative of our community here because we take care of each other.
The camaraderie of just being together. It's like hanging out with some old friends, even though we're new members.
The hall is a great place for gathering, and if you're looking for friendship and kinship, this is the place to come because the people are amazing and it's wonderful.
And that's what Hesperia Hall is all about. Selflessness and commitment to your neighbors, to your community, and to the country.
So is Ed are you gonna ask me a question yet?
Yeah. What I'll do is take some questions before Patricia does the SAVHA portion, because, you know, the videos are pretty thorough. And if you have any specific questions about the hall, I'd be happy to answer. You saw some of the people here today.
Here's a planted question. Where does the hall get the money to maintain the structure?
Yeah, it's a good question. So you're familiar with the scholarship raffle program. That runs from April to October. So from November through March, we do produce exchange and fundraising that goes to maintain the hall, pay our taxes and our little electric bill and stuff like that. So yeah, we need a general fund and we need a scholarship fund, which is our 501c3 charitable purpose. Actually, Janice missed the mark. 2003, she was saying in the 80s. Janice established the scholarship program in 1984, but that was a little hard to do because we had to go through a school, which is a 501c3. So we selected our recipients, but we didn't distribute the money. I went through Lee Gallegos before Steve and King City Community Scholarship, Pam and Sammy Joe and Carol took that over. So that's it. 6 months, we try to raise money so we can try to maintain and keep the hall going, and as well as pay for our porta potty and picnic tables and the road. Okay.
What about the calendar money?
Yeah. So you actually have some calendars over here for the silent auction. So we have a calendar committee, and you can all participate. Submit your photos, look at the newsletter, the website, and in June we fill the hall with the submitted photos and we vote. And so you get a cover winner, 12 months winners, and then thumbnails for the 14th on that got the most votes. So we have a beautiful calendar that we get sponsorship. So basically, if you buy a calendar, that money is going directly in to support the hall.
That's what I was trying to get to through sort of a backdoor entry. There's several of them, there we have 10, they're going fast, if you want to support the hall a bit. They're inexpensive and they're beautiful.
And we have a lot of great photographers, starting with Fred. And nowadays with phones, anybody can be a fantastic photographer. And the area is just spectacular. We use Lockwood and Bryson Hesperia as one group, so that's where the photos have to be taken. You know, you get a good shot down at Cayugas. It might be beautiful, but it can't go on our calendar. So anyway, Kate and I came out here in 1980, and we bought property in 82. We lived in King City first, and so in 1982 we started patching together our house. We've had a long run in a beautiful place with unbelievably wonderful people. So we're going to hang in and keep going. Yes, ma'am.
All right. I was talking to last time I was out here, it was a long time ago, and I came out to entertainment, and it was by this Irish group. Mm-hmm. And they were passing through doing different little places out of the way. Do you still have things like that where you have, and they made quite a bit of money that night because it was word of mouth, and everybody that's Irish wanted to come and see it, and I think everybody's got a little bit of Irish in it.
Yeah, you probably, it was probably Molly's Revenge.
But anyway, it was really a fun night.
Were there bagpipes?
It could be Martin.
Or Martin, we have an Irishman who married into a family that used to be here. So and in fact, for St. Patty's Day this year, we had a concert, and it was 2 of the original people in Molly's Revenge, plus one's college-age son. So we've known John since his son Tyler was a little kid, and now Tyler is a UC Santa Barbara student, plays multiple instruments, and he plays with his dad. And they had like you said, they booked a lot of things in Oregon and California over the month of March. And they actually did it, it wasn't on St. Patty's Day, it was on the Sunday of St. Patty's Day weekend. And they had a young Irish dancer who lives in Oregon, and she joined them. So I actually have a video of that performance. But it's a great question, because yes, we do have concerts periodically, and the acoustics in this place with good musicians up on the stage is pretty spectacular. Tammy on the video had mentioned New Year's Eve. We had a long-running New Year's Eve concert, and Bob Attia set it up. The Attia family owns a lot of acreage, and we kind of smirk when we say this. He runs a non-profit recording company, and he promotes artists all around the world, and we've had world-renowned artists here. But the winter is hard, the people got to come out. He was good friends with musical professors from USC, and they had handmade recorders and Flemish pipes that were remade. So they brought a harpsichord, an antique harpsichord, vintage harpsichord. And we had to get the wood stove going at 4 a.m. because it wouldn't stay in tune unless the hall was at 70 degrees. So we a lot of stories. And the last one, he had a slave descendant singer and her nephew, and they sang Civil War songs that were Underground Railroad songs with code. So that was, we went out with a blaze of glory. He's talked about maybe doing it in the summer, but the winters, we had a power outage one time. It's hard to do music in here, heat without light. So yes, music, and we advertise it in the newsletter and on our website, HesperiaHall.org, HesperiaHall.com. And if you join the hall, you can get your newsletter mailed right to your house. We distribute it in bulk mail here in Bryson, Hesperia, but we got people all over the world getting the Hesperia Hall newsletter. And so, yeah, you're welcome to come to the next time we do some music. Oh, we saw, when we do country fair and things like that, we have live music under the great oak. So that's Nick who played out there. Yes,
How and where is Janice?
Alan, where is Janice? Yeah, she did. Well, you know, she's having some health issues. She did for the country fair. She's always signed up the vendors and everything. That's in October, so we just had it. And so she retired. This was her last official function, except she's staying as a historian. And as long as she's healthy, she's got a lot of room. She's got her records and things like that. So she's here. She's still on the ranch. Her daughter Cindy lives on the ranch and takes care of the cat. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't. Maria and Patricia were collecting the RSVPs, so she just couldn't make it for some reason. But yeah, Janice is, of course, the matriarch, and so she is included as much as she can be included, and she's pretty much spectacularly involved from an early age with this structure. Okay, thank you for coming, and thank you for supporting the hall, and former president of the hall, Beth Winters.
I'd just like for Bethany's sake to say it's now Bethany Houston Media, if you have any interest in having a video made for your family or any other use. I'm a videographer, Bethany Houston.
Yeah, we gave her a scholarship. She did a couple of years at Cuesta, but she was her and her sister made movies and videos, and she was doing videos for the projects in college, and she just didn't want to spend money in academically because she was doing so well, and she's got a booming business. So they live at Heritage Ranch, her and Alex. So she's Houston is the last name. If you're looking at YouTube and stuff, yeah, these are posted on YouTube, posted on our website, and on our Facebook page. Yes.
SAVHA has a YouTube channel. Does Hesperia Hall?
No, Hesperia Hall does not have a YouTube channel.
Because it's really been a good outreach.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we talked about getting a website in the early 2000s and the pricing of $200 a month and all that. David Phillips does it for free. So we have, and then so we have two, and Brian Cogdell does the HesperiaHall.com for free. So that was a good price. And yeah, getting a YouTube. You know, if you, how much? SAVHA has a YouTube channel?
Yeah, John runs it. So.
Oh, John, what's it cost for a YouTube?
What did you say?
A YouTube channel.
What's the question?
What's it cost?
Nothing. It's free. YouTube is free. Yeah.
So you just sign up?
You just have to sign up. You have to, do certain things through YouTube, who you are and this kind of stuff, and then you can start uploading videos. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get a volunteer to one more thing. Okay. Anyway, it's a beautiful building, and glad you all who haven't been here or haven't been here in a long time got to be here today. And thank you. And we're back at it tomorrow. So 11-1 for the produce exchange, and our Thanksgiving potluck starts at 12. So, you know, throw your sleeping bag out in the parking lot. We'll be back at it tomorrow. And here's Patricia Whitfield.
I want to thank you all for coming, and thank Ed and Hesperia Hall for allowing us to have our fall.
Make sure to hold the mic up close.
Can't hear me? Yeah. How about now? Okay. Anyway, this is we're going to present a little slideshow that was created several years ago, and we actually showed it here at the hall because a lot of people wanted to get some information on what SAVHA had in our photo database, and so that's our next slide. But I'm sure most of you all know, this says SAVHA was founded in 1971, but actually it was founded in 1968, and it was founded to preserve the history of the area. And you know, currently all of our photos and archives are stored at McCarlum, which is the Monterey County Agricultural and Rural Life Museum in King City. And some of the original founders, Rachel Gillette, Ollie Wallison, and Catherine Fruden, wanted to ensure that a lot of the history was preserved for future generations. And so we're continuing with that mission that they started in 1968. SAVHA has gathered family photographs and individual collections from people in the area, and we've scanned and entered it into a FileMaker Pro database. And that database, a lot of the photographs are online at savha.org, our new website. So I hope you go up there if you want to look at some of our pictures. People ask me what was some of the photos that you have in Hesperia, Bryson, and Pleyto in your database. And so these are some of the photos. You've seen this photo. This was in November of 1973 that this photograph was taken of Hesperia Hall. So you can see it's a little bit more taken care of now. And so it was built, you saw this in the first slide and heard from Janice that it was built in 1889 as the Shiloh Baptist Church. And they have their farmers markets and lectures and poetry readings, and it has entertained generations. This is a picture in our database of Hesperia School circa 1930. And this is a log cabin. These are just photographs from our database that we wanted to share with you of the area. This is a log cabin that was built in the early 1870s, and it was being, it says it was being driven from a nearby claim by unscrupulous men and made famous by State Senator Henry Lynch's in 1960 account of ambush, arson, and murder on the Nacimiento. That was a book. So yeah, I don't think you can get that anymore. Is it available? Yeah. Oh, okay. Anyway, this cabin stood at the intersection of Interlake and Hesperia roads, and it was land once owned, that is now, once owned by Karen Planet. This is a picture showing the men of the road construction on Bryson Hesperia Road and Bryson Sapela Road. And the Monterey County Supervisor William Pinkerton of Pleyto secured $1,500 to build the road from Bryson to Sapela. And the superintendent of schools, Job Wood Jr., reported on his visit to Hesperia School on May 10th of 1888, "A large force of men is at work on the road, and an attempt will be made to complete it this summer." And the crew of local men are here taking a break, and a rare photograph of early road construction. Here's the 1930 building of Hesperia Road, another photograph. And Rachel and Olive Dayton, Rachel Dayton became Rachel Gillette, one of the founders of SAVHA. And this is her and her sister in 1914. Rachel was born in 1914, and her sister Olive in 1909. And this is a picture from 1917. And this is a photo in SAVHA's database of the J.B. Saylor homestead in Hesperia. On the back of the photo, it was written, J.B. Saylor home, now the Shepherd Place, Hesperia, California. And this is the fourth photograph that was entered in SAVHA's database of Casablanca adobe, which is later the William Pinkerton Ranch in Pleyto, 1880. And Pleyto is now under the lake, or the foundations are. So in 2014, the reason we made this slideshow, was because people wanted to see what photographs we had taken. SAVHA got permission to go out on the lake during the drought in 2014, and this is a picture of us the day that we went. We were looking for the old town of Pleyto, any foundations, and the cemetery that is under the lake. A lot of people don't know that there was a cemetery under the lake. And when they built the dam in the lake, they moved the graves up to Pleyto Cemetery, which is at the end of Bryson Hesperia Road. This is the town of Pleyto that is now completely submerged under the waters of the lake. That was that photograph was taken, I think it was in 1902, yeah. And the lake was built in 1965. And this is what we found. We found this is a foundation that during the drought of 2014. We don't know what house it was or what store or what it was. We just found the foundation. Possibly these are from the town of Pleyto or the Pinkerton Ranch House. Here's some artifacts we found and an old truck chassis. There's a lot of stuff under that lake, old boats, and we found a lot of interesting items. And this is what the Pleyto, way in the far distance, you kind of see where that fence line is. The Pleyto Bridge that was built in 1914. This was a photo taken shortly before the removal for the construction of the lake. And the cemetery is in the right background across the river. And it's you can kind of see it, that grain by that grain bin was where the cemetery was. And this is what we found that was left of that old El Camino Real under the lake. There's still asphalt, bridges. And here's one of the Pleyto Bridge that, and a bridge on the old El Camino Real that says built in 1959. And I don't know what happened to that other photograph. Something happened to it. But anyway, it was almost the same photograph. This was taken in the San Antonio Lake, the Pinkerton House site, looking west during the drought of 1977. And then we took one in 2014 that was the exact site. It's almost an identical picture. but it's not showing up now. Sorry about that.
At night, huh?
I don't know what happened. And this is one of the photograph of the Pinkerton Cemetery. The first photo on your left is at the time of a low lake. This is Civil War veteran marker, and it says, "He was shot by Godfrey. Also buried here are 2 children and an aunt of Bess Pinkerton Rogers." That was in September 1977, and then the one that we found in 2014 was missing the headstone, and but it's partial. It's the grave cover. They couldn't move all the graves when they built the lake because you have to get permission from family to move graves. So they had to leave some of them there, and they just covered them with cement to keep them from floating up to the surface. That's what we're told. So this is Rachel Gillette and Ranger Douglas Dean at Pinkerton Cemetery in 1977, and here's the other grave site in 2014. You can see it's changed a little bit. And the same abandoned Pleyto Cemetery in 1977 and 2014. And this is the Pinkerton house site looking toward North Shore of the lake in 1977 on the left, and on the right was what we found. You can see the ramp coming down from North Shore, the boat ramp in 2014. And SAVHA, we've had several projects that are still in our sites, but in 1979, SAVHA acquired the Tidball store, and this is a front view before the Preservation Field School came out. They were from students from Cal Poly and other universities that came out to work on preserving the Tidball and the Dutton and what other was it, Sue? Some other buildings in the area. But the Tidball store, it's a front view before the preservation in '79, and this is after the preservation on the right in 1984. And Tidball store on the left in 2012 in need of repair, and then SAVHA used donations by members and friends for the new roof and paint in 2014. And then we had the sign repainted. And this is the Dutton ruins in 2012, and since then it's gone, it's practically almost disappeared, it's just mud. We tried in 2019, members of SAVHA, the Southern Monterey County Rural Coalition, Nacetone, and Monterey County Parks worked together to clean up around the area because they, I'm not sure about the year that it was built, but they put a roof over it, and over the many, many years, it just started falling in and causing more damage to the building than it was no longer helping at all, serving its purpose. So we have had it torn down, the roof. And we're hoping to have another cover over it, but that didn't happen. We tried putting, a group of us tried applying adobe to help preserve the walls that were left, and just, hasn't worked. So SAVHA is accepting memberships and donations. We're always looking for help with our projects, new and old projects. Like right now, John and Karen Jernigan and Maria and I, mainly under the leadership of John and Karen Jernigan, are doing oral history interviews, and they are now on, a lot of the ones that we've completed are on SAVHA's YouTube channel. And you can go to YouTube, and then you just type in San Antonio Valley Historical Association search, and it'll bring up all of our, maybe today, this will be up there, our, we have our lectures and our bridges tours, our spring tours and fall luncheon dinners. So anyway, members, if you become a member, you'll receive a biannual newsletter and with interesting historical articles written by SAVHA members and boards. And like I said, we host an annual spring tour to some really interesting areas in the Monterey County. And last fall, we hosted a luncheon with lecture on Pearl's Diary, and we have Marvin here. So that gave fascinating glimpses of southern Monterey County ranch life, and including references to national and local events, the diary. This spring, SAVHA toured the Bitterwater and Lone Oak areas of southern Monterey and San Benito County. That was really in the rain. We all went out in the rain and had our spring tour, and it was really interesting. And we got to visit one of our board members, Sherry and Jeff Smith, their ranch house, historical ranch house. So she gave us a tour. It was really fun. And if you would like to become a member, you can also at savha.org, you can download our newsletter there and membership form. We have some membership forms. It's $25 a year to become a member. Yeah.
I'd like to mention that in 2006, Andy Beckett and I, who were both longtime board members, collaborated to write the book in the Images of America series through Arcadia Publishing that you've all seen, the sepia tone, and there's one that the Jernigans have written since then on King City.
Yeah, for auction.
It's part of the auction there, but we donated all the proceeds to SAVHA, and we collected for that book, I think 40% of the photos were new photos that weren't in this archive that were donated by local families. And it was just fascinating to go out and reach out to people who, had roots, historic roots here, who had personal photos that hadn't been in the public domain. So that is available. A lot of the pictures here and the captions are directly from that book. It's available on Amazon and other sites like that, and Mission usually sells it. I keep trying to get the Pleyto store to stock it, and one of these days maybe they will, because it's really a valuable source of all this information. It covers, we did, pretty much on Hesperia as well, and a whole section on Hearst Ranch and Hunter Leggett and the transitions there, and of course the indigenous people, and it's quite exhaustive history of this area. So I recommend it to you, not just because I'm the author, but because it's a really good historic source. And so anyway, I wanted to share that.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah, I also want to share that Karen and John Jernigan, along with Howard Strone, also created an Images of America book on King City that is also available in our auction and various businesses around King City that you might find interesting. We want to thank you all for taking your Saturday and coming out and visiting with everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the program. We really enjoyed having you, and I thought the lunch was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. After that wonderful wrap-up, I just want to thank you all for coming. And I'd like you to thank Patricia and Maria for putting this event together. And thank you all for coming. Please join us in the spring, which will be our next event.
Do you know what it is?
We don't have a date yet.
What is our tour, Karen, do you know? No, we're working on it.
Yeah,
Sunday, come on.
It'll be great. That's all I know. So please join us then. Thank you, everyone.
Don't forget the silent auction.
Oh yeah, the silent auction. Please jump up there and put your name down quickly.